Former Football League club Southend United have been in the news for all the wrong reasons over the last couple of years regarding the finances and ownership of the club. Their recent National League game against Eastleigh was even briefly halted as fans threw tennis balls on the pitch in protest over the owner Ron Martin. So my question is, what exactly is going on? Here's the Cliff Notes version of what you need to know what's going on at Southend United. For Southend United fans, their ill feeling towards owner Ron Martin may go back to their double relegation. That's starting in the 2019-2020 season, with relegation from League One on the points per game basis as League One stopped playing due to that pandemic that we had. And then in 2021 they were relegated for a second consecutive season, this time out of the Football League, ending their 101-year stay in the EFL to the National League. Southend United owed £1.4 million to HM Revenue and Customs, which was paid in February ahead of a winding up petition later in March. The National League side could have been closed down by the High Court had the money not been paid. Despite the paying of that bill, the club would still start the 23-24 season under a transfer embargo. Martin had owned the club since 2008. And I'm quoting the Guardian article based on Southend. On the surface, Southend's story is a familiar one. An owner who bought a club, made grand promises of a new stadium, the Fossett's Farm Stadium, with a equally aspirational training ground alongside it. It would be a package deal. He would take the Shrimpers to the next level, it was argued. But nearly 2 decades on, that is yet to arrive, and now for the owner, the costs of running the club appear to have outweighed the benefits. The club had their day in court and were given more time to secure their future after their winding up petition over unpaid taxes was adjourned for this time a second time. Chairman Ron Martin requested a further 42-day extension to finalise a sale, and it was granted. Although Martin stated at the time of the adjournment of the unpaid taxes for the second time, said he was motivated to continue to get the club sold at pace, adding that he had done everything in his power to close the deal quickly. He said that an extra 6 weeks requested was for the new owners to satisfy the relevant owners and directors test for the necessary due diligence to be completed, adding the process can't be accelerated. Following the adjournment, supporters of Southend United even protested outside of Martin's house. Remember, they had until August 23rd to pay that tax bill, £275,000, or find a new owner. It was claimed by mid-July that Ron Martin was willing to accept an offer of just £1 for the shareholding of the club. However, that would not come with Roots Hall, the stadium that was by far unfit for purpose at this point. It was a crumbling mess of its former self and may not get the required safety license for the league season, but Martin wanted £4.5 million for the crumbling ground. The club, however, did get approval from Southend Council to play at Roots Hall, which meant that their opening game of their Vanarama National League season for the 23-24 season would be played against Oldham Athletic. But the National League, who had been burned before in this sort of situation, were keeping an eye on Southend United, and it was by the end of July that the troubled football club had paid the wages of their staff for the first time in 3 months. That gave the National League the confidence to give the team a playing licence to start that season against Oldham. Paying those football-related debts gave them the opportunity to play in the National League. It cost the club, or the owner, £300,000, but they still had that looming threat of that tax debt of £275,000. £100,000, and that is where we come up to date, where Southend were docked 10 points by the National League following a High Court decision to grant a final 42-day deadline to the club to avoid being wound up, with Ron Martin saying the sale of the club to an unnamed Australian buyer should be finalised next month. They still owe £275,000 debt to HM Revenue and Customs, and the deduction means that Southend have gone bottom of the National League table. By then, -4 points. Right now, at the time of recording, it's -1 point.